Awesome. And oh my gosh, sometimes I leave these bad words here. Returning instructor. I'll get rid of ski because I had just invited everybody this year. Skiers, snowboarders, everywhere. There is no need not to hang out together. We're all the same-ish. As we go through our review tonight, we will be talking both languages. So Babette, I will ask you to hold me accountable if I don't use the right language. I know you are very passionate about this and will snap my hand very quickly. And then if I start talking about ski things in a snowboard term, I'm sure that Amelia will be quick to jump on me for that. So quick sort of review of what we're going to do. We're going to look at a few Zoom basics, just in case anybody hasn't used Zoom by this point in their life. Then we're going to start with a pop quiz and just kind of see where people's knowledge is. We're going to look at a bit of gliding experience, the steps of progression, the 5 skills that are in skiing and snowboarding, technical references, and core competencies. That should say 3. We'll make that say 3. Look at a little bit of decision making. I got rid of this part because I didn't think that was good. Let me wipe that. There we go. We'll look at decision making. We're going to look at something called the IACRC. We're going to look at how people learn, and then we'll talk a little bit of mentorship, talking about some program stuff. And then Amelia is actually not presenting tonight, so I'll actually get rid of this too. And we'll reply.
Yeah, no, thanks.
We'll reply. We'll just gonna put the word risk, and we'll get into what that means as we get down there. This is totally an ADD type of presentation where I'm going to jump from one topic to the next topic and just try and keep you a little off your feet so that nobody gets too bored. Because if I just stay in one lane too long, I know I go to sleep. Getting on to it, if you are not familiar with how to use all things being Zoom, either at the top or the bottom of your page, depending on what you're using, you're going to see a whole bunch of kind of words or icons that will tell you all sorts of things. So there's one called participants. If you click on that, you can see all the people that are here today. And if you will see yourself right at the top, which you can hit the little dots and change your name. So if your name doesn't represent who you are, please do that so that we know who's here. There's also a chat button at the bottom. So if you hit that, it'll open up sort of a texting screen, and I see all those messages. Or if you want to send a secret hello to somebody, you can totally change down at the bottom, change it from everybody to whoever you want to, and say hello and have secret conversations behind my back. I will not be offended. Have a good time. I will have this up. I apologize if I miss anything. If I, for some reason, I'm not responding, you also have the ability to put reactions, which is a little button down there where you can put waves. Anybody find the reaction button and just put like a wave or a thumbs up or something like that? And that way I know people are actually, ooh, a party hat. That's fun. Dave's just sending it hard. I love it. Oh, Amelia and Luke. Oh, perfect. Other things that are on there, you probably already found the video on and off and the mute or the sound on and off for your microphone. And that's about all we need to know for Zoom at the moment. I'm totally good at any point if you just want to interrupt me by putting on your microphone and saying something, because that encourages good conversation, and I'm always for that. So here it is. Are you ready? You are going to need either a paper and a pen, or if you're on a computer and you want to use a document, a Word document or something, and we're going to try a pop quiz. There are only 9 questions, and you only have 2 minutes to try and answer as many as you can. This is fast and furious to see where your knowledge is at, or maybe cue a couple things in your brain, and then we'll spend the next few minutes going over that and make sure you've got just some good ways to remember what's going on. Are you ready? We'll get the official timer out. We'll give people another 9 seconds to get their stuff ready if they need it. Anybody that gets 10 in the 10 might get a prize. You never know. I'm just saying, it does exist, even though there's only 9 questions. Here we go. And go. 2 minutes. Alpine responsibility code, that's a tricky one. Go for about another 60 seconds or so. Sneaky enough to get one in here, or maybe I'll put one in there just in case, you know, you don't remember any of these Alpine responsibility codes, you get some partial points. Another 20 seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. How'd we go? Piece of cake, easiest thing you've done all day? Oh, I see some heads like, oh no. Is there any head of shame? Oh no.
Can we get some extra time?
How much time? Well, you know what? As we're going through, you probably have time to keep, you know, if you know what the question is, you probably still have another minute or two to keep going on it as we start to talk. And this isn't that serious. It's okay. This is about kind of jarring your brain, seeing what's in there, and then just gives us a good platform to kind of chat with. So let's play with the chat feature to start. And who can tell me the 4 core values of VAS? Throw them in your chat. Fun is definitely one of them. Yes. Camilla, yes. Yes, it's one of them. That's amazing. Safety is totally one of them. Oh, Teresa, first person to get all 4 of them banged out. Look at that. As simple as can be. Safety, always our number 1. If it ain't safe, we can't do it. It's got to be fun. Absolutely. And then we try to do some learning. And then the last one that got added last year is just yes. Pretty much yes. We can do almost anything. If somebody has a dream, then we will help facilitate it and find the safest way to do it. Really fun example of that is that if anybody was anybody at movie night? If you were at movie night, you got to meet a young lady named Emily, who is bound and determined to be one of the first visually impaired para snowboarders, which doesn't even exist yet. But she just got this dream that it's going to happen. So we started a snowboard team last year to support her dream. And that snowboard team is growing every year. I think we've had 4 participants this year. So maybe one day they will allow her as somebody with visual impairment to snowboard in the Paralympics. But she's ready and she's training, which is cool. Going back to our questions, can anybody name the 6 steps of the ski or snowboard progression? And just stick up your hand with your reaction button and bet. Yeah, you better. Who thinks they know all 6 steps of our progression for skiing or snowboarding? Eric, I got it. You're gonna do are you reading it, Eric? Or are you reading your answer?
Well, you asked to write it on the paper.
All right, I respect that. I'm just making sure you're not whipping out the manual. You're like, okay, 1.
Manual's like 300 pages.
What are the 6 steps for snowboarding?
Equipment, basics, sliding, control, turning, and flow.
Nice. I love it. And do we have a brave skier in this group? Brave skier. There's got to be one. Is there a skier that knows any?
Isn't it the same?
It's close-ish. We are not far off. A couple of the terms are a little bit different. So would we agree that safety equipment is the same? Oh, Angela,
Yes.
You got a hand up.
Well, yeah, because he reminded me of the equipment because I was like, stand, glide, stop, glide, and turn. So yeah, equipment Now I forgot what it, oh, I did it to myself.
M
I fail.
starts with M.
It starts with an M and rhymes with
Mobility,
mobility.
mobility,
Yeah.
mobility. And we have flow too. I forgot about the flow, but I'll always remember James dancing to explain flow.
Sounds right. Sounds like something I would do. Okay. And then after mobility, we have
Sliding.
Run.
sliding, or yeah, what we call a straight run to a stop. Then we have
Glide and stop. Oh, it's glide and turn.
turning.
Oh,
Yeah.
connecting your turns.
Then
Connecting
linking the
turns.
turns.
Linking.
Then turn, progression, and beyond.
Whew.
So, was that Angela? I was talking to Angela. You said that you remember me doing the dance for timing and coordination.
Yeah, because I'm a visual and kinesthetic learner, so I
Oh my
remember.
gosh. Well, in your honor, then,
Yes.
it's time to play the game.
There we go.
All right, everybody's got to stand up. Ben, you knew this was coming. How did you not know this was coming? Don't even look like you don't know. All right,
Well,
so.
I was afraid it was coming. Is that
All right.
fine?
So I will do the skiing demonstration. Babette will do the snowboarders demonstration, and each of these words has a motion to it. So, well, that's not quite right. Let's just go to this one. We'll go here. This is actually what I was talking about. These are the skills. So those are the skills, and we'll revert them back to our 6 steps in a minute. So stance and balance, pivoting, edging, and pressure control, timing, coordination is what we do for skiers. On the snowboard side, they say position and balance, pivoting, edging, pressure control, and timing and coordination, although they like the word flow. So if you're a skier and we say the word stance and balance in a minute, you're going to jump up and land with your palms up, nicely balanced. If you look from the side, my shoulder's kind of over top of my knee, over top of my toe. Now, what does it look like for you? Shockingly the same, but you're sideways. And actually in snowboarding now, we actually turn our hips just a little bit open in that position. They just ride a little bit open. And that's good stance or position and balance for snowboarding. For pivoting, for skiers, we turn with our leg or our femur or hip socket. So we bring up our leg and we wave it back and forth. And snowboarders actually drive more with their, it feels like your knee, it's still your femur and your pelvis, but we take our front knee and we kind of drive it to the left or we drive it to the right. So snowboarding looks like this. Skiers just get to do this crazy motion. All right, then we have edging. Edging for skiers, who's got good edging on skiers? You go back and forth, get on your edges. Then for snowboarders, up on your toes, up on your heels. Nice. Pressure control, I just do the same for both. Because there's no great way to do pressure control, so you just gotta push into the earth as hard as you can, and it's better if you grunt. That's pressure control. And then for timing and coordination or flow, we do the dance. You gotta dance. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna shout out the words, and you try and do the motions, and we're gonna go fast. And this helps put stuff in our brain. Are we ready? So we have, to start, stance and balance or position and balance. Then we have pivoting. Then we have edging. Now we've got pressure control. Timing and coordination. Nice, pivoting. Position and balance for snowboarders. Stance and balance for skiers. Edging for everybody. We'll do some snowboard edging. Pressure control. Timing and coordination. Pressure control. Timing and coordination. Edging. Pivoting. Stance and balance. Edging. Pivoting. Pressure control. All right. Whew. That was good.
Well done, everybody.
We got that all in there. All right. So now we're going to go back one. And so these are the skills that we can teach. Also, I love how snowboarders have the coolest pictures and we just have words. Oh, well. If we go back one and we think about equipment as something that is very special to CADs, if we slide down to mobility and basics, which of these skills do you think we develop in that mobility and basics? Which is, by the way, exactly the same thing. It's working around, usually in the flat areas, just getting someone used to their gear. What skills do you think we're actually developing when we do that? Anybody?
Stance and balance.
Stance and balance. Okay, are we developing stance and balance? All those in favor, raise your hands. Are we developing pivoting or some sort of turning motion? If you
Mhm.
agree, put your hand up. Yep. If you think we're
Edging?
working on some edging, if we walk up little hills and things, do you think we're building some edging skills? Yes. Do you think that we are doing pressure control? Ooh.
Hmm.
Where could we use pressure control? Someone give me a big nod. Angela, where do you think we do some pressure control stuff?
I feel like it's just like that feeling of like once you like trying to understand like how like you can oomph it. And so like even just putting on your boots. I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I teach
no.
kindergarten. Like jumping, when you do the jumping with them, right? With
Yeah.
their stuff on.
Yeah, I think anytime too we're moving around the snow, like if you do a bit of skating motion, whether it's with your snowboard or with your skis, that's all pressure control. We're finding a way to load the pressure on the ski or the snowboard, arc it a little bit, get more edge,
Is it
and
broken?
slide from there. And then if we do it in really nice synchro move, then we get to work timing and coordination.
Like
So
the headphones.
mobility actually really develops tons and tons of skills. If we go back and we think about the sort of straight run or the first slide, which is same thing, just kind of one slide motion, who's brave enough to go for it? What skills do you think we're developing if you're just going in a straight line?
Stance and balance.
Stance and balance. I'll give you a point for stance and balance. Absolutely. Are we working on
Edging?
pivoting? Is there any turning in it?
No.
No, so we're probably not. Are we riding on the edges at all? Not
Nope.
really. Are we putting extra pressure on the ski or snowboard at that time? Not really. Are we doing anything time or coordination? Not really. We're developing one skill when we do a straight run. And that's great because that's an important skill. So we start there.
Must have something to do with like when the headphones are plugged in.
I am looking for magic buttons. Please hold. Please hold. There's what I'm looking for. Thank you for the chat. I appreciate that. Let's go back again to our steps. So for both a straight run, or sorry, both a single turn, and this is where the skiing and snowboarding diverges a little bit, but both the same skills get developed, whether control step or single turn. Control, if you don't know, is kind of where they make a lot of movements side to side on the hill. So what we would call like a pendulum sort of, or a falling leaf in skiing. Both with 1 and 2 feet in and out, and then learning how to brake a little bit while you're using 1 foot in. So same skill developments. And I can share with you, just to put everybody out of their misery, it develops everything. You have to have good stance and balance. You have to have some turning. You have to play with your edges. When you start playing with your edges to slow down and get control and direction change, you have to have pressure. And again, if you do it in a really nice sequence and find a way to link things, you can definitely have all the timing coordination you want. So yeah, so I just think it's interesting that when I look at that sort of straight run is really the only time we're just developing one skill. For all the other steps, we're developing multiple skills. So it is good. I probably spend more time in mobility and basics than most people do, because I just know how much skill I can develop there. So I will spend time playing and coming up with ridiculous games and put one ski on or have one binding on and then switch the bindings and switch the skis and do it that backwards again, so that they really just get tons and tons of really good muscle development in a super safe, low risk environment. Is all this coming back to you? Does this stuff seem familiar-ish? Some of it? I have a couple blank stares. Josh, you're giving me the stare, man. I don't know.
It's
good.
always tough.
Cool. Okay, so let's look quickly at what the core competencies are for snowboarding and what the technical references are for skiing. And these are the ways that we look at the relationship between the body and the board, or the body and the skis. So for snowboarders, you probably remember some of this. we talk about having a centered mobile position, which is mostly the skill of position and balance. Then we talk about turn as led with the lower body, which is funny, very similar to something in skiing we'll look at in a second, but that involves a lot of pivot motion. Then we talk about working over or balance over the working edge, which is talking about both pressure control and edging. So by looking at a snowboarder and thinking of these three statements, I try and figure out which one is not true, and then that's where I can start to build my lesson. And I often find it works best if you think about them in order. So the first thing I check out is, do they have all their joints bent, and are they mobile, and do they feel like and look like they're balanced over the center of the board? They're not too far back, they're not too far forward, they're not inside outside. If that's good, then I start thinking about, great, is the board being led to start the turn, or is the body doing something big to start the turn? And then once we start getting in the turns, then I'm looking at whether or not the center of mass is over the base of support. The fanciest words we're going to talk about in physics tonight: center of mass and base of support. Is the kind of heaviest part of your body, kind of the part around your belly button-ish, over top or balanced over top of that edge that is on the snow and cutting. So those are your three core competencies. Then we look at the 4 technical references for skiing, because skiing just has to be more complex because we have 2 boards. First one says the use of all joints. So to stay balanced over the ski. So that's really talking about our stance and balance. Then turning is led with the lower body, which again is just the pivoting motion. That's the first thing we want to see, is that the skis always move before anything in the body moves. Then we talk about upper and lower body separation allows for angulation and grip. Woo! Does anybody know a good way to explain that other than those words? I heard somebody saying something. So to not make this super technical, but just so, maybe this jars your brain, I will stand up and try and give my best demo. I didn't wear my bright colored socks. I apologize. But if I'm standing here and I really turn my legs to start the turn, then I end up with my hips kind of going one direction. They're still ahead, but my feet are going this direction. And that is separation. So when your hips and shoulders are in one alignment and your feet or your legs are in a different alignment. When I get to that position, so when I'm here and I'm making this turn, if I stay really tall and straight, then I am just inclining. But if I bend at sort of my hip area and move it a little inside the turn, then I get this nice angle here. And that is what angulation is that ability to angle like that. And when I do that, it allows me a much bigger range of motion. And more importantly, my skis can go from about this much angle to about that much angle. And when you have more angle on your skis and you put pressure against them, they grip like crazy. So that's why they say if you can get those nice positions where you have a little separation and you can bend at that spot of your body, then your skis will tip up more and you'll get more grip. So that's all it's saying. Basically what it means when I look at a skier, if I see them like a pencil, like leaning into the turns, there's no angulation and they probably aren't getting as much grip as they could. So then I want to come up with some good drills to help them through that. Does anybody know a good drill for both skiers and snowboarders to get better angles and get more faster edge engagement? Oh, airplanes are a fun one. Airplanes on a snowboard don't work. not unless you're trying to butter or something, but definitely in a skiing. I was thinking of like a hockey stop move. Any type of a really fast stopping move on a skis or a snowboard are really going to allow people to play with their edge angles and how much pressure they can put on a board or a ski against the snow and see how that can really affect what's going on. Teresa had it. She had hockey stops. And then someone said, tell the dog to send it.
Spray
Sorry?
somebody. Like when you do the hockey stops and say, how much snow can you get on me?
So I will warn you, this is a stupid thing I did earlier in my career. I did that with a kid who then didn't stop and took me out. So always better to put your ski pole in the ground and have them try and see how much, and if they run over your ski pole, well, that's okay. I tried it once with a fence as well, like a slow sign. Yeah, they smoked the slow sign. So be careful of that. I actually saw Tai do a really cool drill yesterday where they put 4 poles out and the goal was to stop in that little square. But I think you could just draw a square too and just say, can you stop in this square? So that was a good adaptation. I digress. Then our last technical reference, coordinated movement patterns, which is basically the same as what the snowboarders would say is flow. You want everything to look equal and opposite. So those are the things we look for when we're ski instructors. These are the things we look for as snowboard instructors, and all of them allow us to kind of try and figure out where the lesson should go. Let's go through this next slide quickly, and then we're going to try something because I've become addicted to something, which some of you know about, but we'll talk about it. This is a little bit of understanding how motor skills are kind of learned. And I stole it from the CSIA. It's just a nice, easy way to put some words to the way that we kind of go through steps of learning. So when we first try and learn a new physical skill that we had no idea we could even attempt, you are in initiation, which is very close to total panic. You're like, oh my God, I don't even know if I can do this. I will try it. Let's see what happens. Your body doesn't know what's going on. Your brain doesn't know what to tell your body, but you just get into it and see what happens. Then we move to acquisition, which is where if we think really hard about it and maybe we got a little bit of instruction from a coach, then we can have a little bit of success. A little more for sure than initiation. From there, we move to consolidation, which means that you can have success quite a bit of the time, but you're really focusing on it. It's very intense thought. And the whole time you're like, okay, I gotta put pressure here. I gotta turn there. You know, it's like you're talking to yourself the whole time. As we get to refinement, there's less talk in your head and you just do, which is really the fun parts, where you can now just go and have a lot of success, but you're not having to be really conscious of it. And then the last thing we do is called creative variation, which is where now we've learned a skill and then we think, cool, what else can I do with this skill? How can I change it, evolve it, adapt it into something else I do? And then it becomes just part of what you do. So I figured the best way to do this would to actually be to try something that probably many of us have not tried and just feel what it might like be to be an initiation again. I know this shocks me too. I've recently become a fan of TikTok. And there are lots of incredible, ridiculous things on TikTok. And I've selected a little video for us to do, which is a form of a shuffle dance. So in a moment, we're all going to stand up. I'll play the video and just try and follow along and see how you go. Are we ready? Everybody stand up. Give yourself a little bit of space. You don't need much. I don't know if you can see in the video here, but they've got kind of like an X on the floor. That's about as much space as you need, about 1 foot in each direction. All right, I wish you all the greatest of luck as we try and do a little shuffle. Let me introduce to you everybody. I'm not very good. All right, now with great honesty, did anybody get that in that short of time? Eric's still going for it. How was that? Did anybody have some success? If you did, take up your microphone, tell me about it.
Only at the slow parts.
Right? And then they sped it up and my brain went. I think that's a really fun just way to look at things, thinking about how some of our learners might be experiencing when we're asking to do something that we think is super simple, like, oh yeah, just put on your skis. Like most of us don't look when we put on our skis anymore, even our snowboard, like we just slam in that first foot and you just strap up everything and away you go. But for some people, that's going to be a lot. So I'm always mindful from there to think about, the different ways that we all learn. So that was a super visual way. That was definitely a watcher experience. If somebody can watch that and acquire that skill, that's really cool. I don't have that ability. at least not in that short a time frame. Maybe with a little more, maybe I could watch it a bunch of times and see if I could do it. But if I was somebody that is a listener, so somebody that likes words to process in their brain, could anybody come up with some reasonably good words to describe that little shuffle step that we just saw that would describe what we're doing?
Stick your right leg out, hop, stick it behind you. Stick your left leg out, hop, stick it behind you. Stick your right leg out, hop, stick it behind you.
That's amazing. Yeah, it doesn't have to be much more complex for that. But for somebody that likes to repeat words in their head, that would help. And even just listening to that, and now if I watched it and kept thinking about those words, maybe I would have more success. Maybe. The feeler is always, I think, the learning style that we miss opportunities on the most, because not a lot of us think about acquiring things through feeling it or feeling like we're doing it right. But for that particular video, what would be something that we would want to feel all the time to maybe let people know that they're doing it right? Can you come up with anything that would say, yep, if you can feel this when we're doing this, you're doing it right?
What about feeling like you have a rhythm going?
Yeah, that's not bad. I don't hate that. Yeah, there's a real rhythm to this. Yeah, so it should be, yep, move, 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 move. And if that's what you're working on, then maybe we slow down the tempo for them in the beginning even more. Sure, and speed it up. You also might notice that every second beat that your ankle is on your shin or you're behind your thigh. So that would be something you could really feel. If you were doing it well, you would feel that every second beat. So finding a feel can make the world of difference for some people. And then for doers are easy. You just kind of give them the rough idea, show them a bit of a video or something, and they just try and figure it out. Even like my friend Eric, who kept doing it for like a minute after everybody else stopped, he's still trying to do it and figure it out, which I love. And all doers need is some good coaching. So when I look at this video, the fact that there's an X on the ground helps the doer, because the doer can then see and they're like, cool, I start here, I do this, I come back to here. I start on this side, I come back to there. And then because you've set up this kind of framework for them to try and watch, and you can watch it, you can tell them how often they're being great at it, or you can say, hey, try and hit the middle spot every time, or whatever it is, and give them the feedback they knew so they can just do more. Does that make sense when I talk about that stuff in those terms? So it is always my goal when I'm teaching to try and teach in all 4 learning styles. So any sort of drill or tactic, very simply, I just start off and I say, cool, here is why we're going to do this with some basic words. And here's the description of the physical motion. And I try and keep it simple. Like if I'd usually try and for like under 20 words, because if it's more than that, it gets too big. So what are the really important words that somebody can focus on while they're trying to do this? That's going to help your listener. Then for your watcher, I want to give the best demonstration I can, which often involves me hiking up the mountain a little bit so I can do it from above them, do it right when I'm coming by them, and then as I'm going by them and beyond them a little bit. So they can see it from lots of different angles. When I'm doing that demonstration, I try and come up with something that I'm feeling that I always think of in my skin. Like, where is there a pressure? Where is there a stretch, an extension, a touching? You know, I can relate it to the bottom of my foot, to where the cuff of my boot maybe is grabbing me, to the way I feel balanced in a moment of motion, but something that they can really quickly link onto and keep looking for that to know that they're doing it well. And then, like I said, doers, we just got to give them a lot of time to do it, but find ways to stop so we can give them good, accurate feedback. Good? Good. All right. Moving on. Anybody questions about that? Or is that, this is how you all teach already, right? Every single time, no problems. Let's go on. I have a few pictures, and I'm curious to know if you were on the training last year. These are actually pictures from last year, but we'll just see if people know what this stuff is and how we can use it. So I'll throw up the first one, and if anybody wants to shout out what they see or what they think this can be used for. What's this thing?
Visual schedule.
Yeah, visual schedule. So this is a big whiteboard that sits in the yurt. There's all sorts of pictograms and things that you could put on it beforehand and make a little story, or you can just draw in your own. There's dry erase markers. You can add in things if you need to. But a visual story can, funny, actually, we had a visual story today. It was way back here. Just by me putting an agenda up, everybody goes, cool, I know what to expect. And a visual story, exactly the same thing, but we're just in a different environment now. So going through and kind of laying out what that looks like is going to be wonderful. I can share with you that I'm actually creating a couple tools right now where there will be online social stories for people coming to the mountain. So it'll be a nice way to go over stuff with your student before they even get to the mountain. We can send that to them on a PDF, and then you can just flip through it together. Anybody know what these funky things are?
Tip clip?
Tip clips, yeah. These ones are actually called monkey toes. I'm not sure why they're called monkey toes, but that's what they're called. And these are designed to put your tips of your skis close together so that you can help people get in a wedge position. And I've seen snowboarders use it where they put it on the front on both sides, and then they can attach tethers to those points as well, which is a really effective way to snowboard. Anybody know what this thing that says countdown?
It's like a reward system.
Totally, yeah.
Countdown
McDonald's uses these all the time. You buy 7 coffees, you get the 8th one free. With some students, there's either a countdown strip. So if you're going to count down, do count down. So load it up with 5, take away 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's also another one called a token board where you can put pictures or anything else, and they collect a series of those tokens. Both of them can be used together with a statement called first and then. Does anybody know what first and then is, or remember what first and then is?
For sure.
What's first and then?
Work first, then play.
Yeah, sounds good. Yes.
Dinner, then wine. No.
Yes. Although
chores.
sometimes I wine with dinner, which is tricky, but
But it works really well for behavior mod with respect to let's do 3 turns and then you can roll in the snow, or and then you gradually progress that up. So if you have a student who really wants to make snowman, you know, you can focus on the task for a short period and then you get to go make a snowman.
perfect. And most of us at some point have had this used upon us, where somebody that owns a company says, hey, first you work 80 hours and then we'll pay you. And we go, okay, sounds good. All right, how about this bright little orange guy? Very fancy cone. Anybody ever use cones to teach? One of the best teaching tools I've ever used, because it makes the objective very simple for a lot of students. Turn between the cones. Good. Put them in a straight line the first run. If they're doing well, then start separating them so they have to go around them further and accentuate their turns. Wonderful little tool. Put 3 at the end where they have to do a hockey stop. Love the tool. These things I threw in here, I've never had success using them. They are just, I'm trying to remember the name of them. I think it says it on there. Ah, yes, right, hookies. Hookies were an idea that you could put these 2 devices onto the back of some skis and then hook your ski poles into them somehow. And by rotating your ski poles, maybe you could try and turn the skis. But you need to be about 2 feet away from the student. And as you start to slide, if you don't do it perfectly, you crash very quickly. So if you want to play with these, I would encourage you to try them on each other and see what happens before you try it with a student. But they do live in the earth. So who's a snowboarder who can tell me what this purpley thing is?
Balance board.
It is a balance board, yeah. There's a couple of these up there, and they are wonderful little tools just to be inside, super safe area, and just get someone used to having their feet a little bit apart and having a little bit of fore-aft balance and a little bit of heel-toe action. This particular hoop is, I think, better for snowboarding than skiing, because you can kind of put your student here with their stomach here and then control it from behind. With skiing, I find it gets a little tight. Inner tubes. Has everybody used inner tubes? Easy way to put tethers onto somebody's hips. So on a snowboarder, you kind of loop it through their lead hip. So wherever their lead front foot is going to be, you put both the carabiners there. On snowboarders, you bring it through the front of their sort of belly button area and put the tethers there, and then they come around the back of them. And both devices with tethers, you can pivot somebody very, very easily with very, very low effort. I think they're better when you walk with them. I don't think you need to slide with them. You can totally be just in your boots and running behind them, or just walking and really get people to feel the motions. This particular guy also snowboard tool. What do we call this thing? Snowwing? Snowwing, yeah. So we can actually put a student in the middle, and then you can have instructors on the outside, kind of like the boom of a windsurfer. All right, in this last couple, I have this lovely picture of a shovel. How can you make a shovel a teaching tool?
You can hit them.
Yeah, so actually we've stopped doing that now, Eric. I wasn't sure if you're aware of that. I will send out a memo just so everybody understands that's not okay. What do you do with a shovel?
Shovel the door entrance to the yurt so they can actually get in.
That's true. Yeah. Any good ideas? No? Go build a jump. Build like a really serious jump, like 6 inches high. Pat that thing down, like spend like 20 minutes making this thing buttery perfect. They will hit that jump. They will catch no air, but that does not matter because they are working stance and balance. They're working quick edges to get into the line up to it. They're working some speed control. All of it's amazing, and they're now jumping. And then you teach them how to pop. Do a little pop as you hit the top of the jump, and they'll actually fly it. They won't even hit the jump. They'll just fly the whole thing. But can be a wonderful way to spend a whole lesson is just build a jump. This particular device here is the Wi-Fi. So you may not know, we do have Wi-Fi in the yurt, so you can always just log on. Grouse was nice enough to put it there for us. Doesn't cost us anything, but can be a lifesaver if you need to watch a TikTok video about skiing or snowboarding. And then we have these funky things. And I wonder if anybody actually knows these. We don't use these a ton, but they're quite cool. Anybody know what those are? You might use them if you were using an outrigger.
One looks like weight, but it looks like something that you would strap to help grip.
Yeah, totally. That's what they are. They're called Tetra gloves. And they allow us to grab onto something, and then they wrap over the knuckles so that they continue to grab on something. So we'll use this with some sit skiers or 3-trackers or 4-trackers that have a hard time just maintaining the grip, and they can then do it awesome. Cool. So those are a couple of fun, different things. There's a few more we didn't get into, but that's okay. Let's keep going, just looking at the time. I know as returning instructors, you have the great responsibility to be paired often with somebody who is brand new, who's either just done their CADs or hasn't done their CADs yet at all. And my suggestion on how to help these people keep growing, if they do have their CADs instruction, then our goal is by the end of the season to have them in a position where they can help somebody next year. The easiest way to do that I've found is that if we have 6 lessons, which we're having this year, we're not doing anything COVID, by the way. I'm just making that out there. There's no COVID. We're going to have 6 lessons. It's going to happen. If you can, in your first 2 lessons, just take a total leadership role and show them exactly how it happens, what the expectation is, and just remove that stress from them so that they can just be like, okay, good. I don't have to totally be worried. And then in your middle 2 lessons, if you can more and more try and collaborate teach or co-teach, where there's a lot of conversations about, what do you think we should do next? Great. Hey, why don't you, do this tactic and I'll do the next tactic or whatever it is to get them really involved. And then hopefully by the last 2 lessons, they feel comfortable and confident where they can take a leadership role. And you're still there to help them and collaborate, but just allow them to kind of take charge for the last 2 lessons and see how they do. You're there to give them any guidance they need to, but hopefully by after a season or working through the 6 lessons, next year they can come back and help support somebody in the same way. If they're not certified, keep the leadership role the whole time, but definitely, keep that person involved and engaged and find out what they know and how how they can be helpful. I'm always shocked how everybody that I work with has something to offer that I can't or don't know how to. So it's always a good partnership. Other things, we did do the peer-to-peer program and family programs last year. We're doing them again, and they're bigger. So many families want to come out and learn with us. It's wonderful. Did anybody have a peer-to-peer program or work with a family program last year? Can you tell us a story, or are you just throwing up your hand because you're doing macrame or something? Did anybody work with it? No, nobody on this call.
I had a class with a student with his spouse. He was visually impaired, like not fully, like probably 90%, and his girlfriend was helping too. So that was a great experience. We were doing like first like in the the beginner zone, but then we ended up in the cut, and they were really excited, and she was kind of understanding how to provide him guidance with words, so she could take him to the mountain and do a couple runs with just him and her. So it was really nice. It was Steve, the name of the student.
Stephen, and Maria is his girlfriend, isn't it? Maria?
Yes, in the Sunday morning snowboarding program. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and that's the real goal with these family and peer-to-peer programs. If by the end of the 6 weeks, we can get them to a point where they don't need us anymore and they can go out and enjoy the mountains by themselves, then that's a huge win. For anybody that is in the family program, so the family program members, just so you know, are all coming to VAST before the students get there and getting some ski or snowboard lessons. So if they're never ever people, they get 4 lessons. If they do know how to ski and snowboard, then they get 2 lessons, and we just make sure that they are in a state by the time they get to the lesson that they are not causing more strain for the instructors, but able to help out, work on their own skills, and be a part of the lesson. If we feel like we still need more support, we'll just send an extra instructor on that lesson just to keep working with the family member. But we had some really good wins last year, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm getting calls all the time from the parents like, oh my gosh, when do we get to come and ski? Which is a really good sign. So that is happening again this year. If it's something you really want, talk to your program coordinator, and I'm sure that there will be some families that are ready to go. In our last sort of 15 minutes, we're going to cover a couple quick subjects. Someone's messaging me, just make sure it's not one of you. A couple little bit of safety things around people's gear. I don't know if you know, but all of your ski helmets have a recommended shelf life of 5 years, and that is it. If you're not sure how old your helmet is, you can always take a look inside, remove some of the material liner, and there's often a sticker in there telling you when that expires. At the moment, all of our mountains are not enforcing this for their employees, but if they do, then we will follow suit, and that will be a thing. So I know that Seymour is moving that way, so I would suggest, and just for your own safety, if it's more than 5 years old, Boxing Day is coming up, grab yourself a nice new lid. Ski bindings go extinct. Snowboard bindings don't. I've seen some really old snowboarding bindings, and there's no guidance around when they shouldn't be used anymore. But ski bindings absolutely have a shelf life. There's a company in the US that makes a list every year, and they basically buy every binding that is available on the market every year, and every year they test it. And it's just a twisting test and a popping test that they do. And as soon as it fails, the first time it fails, they'll do it 3 more times. If it fails all 3, then it gets taken off their safe list, and no ski shop is allowed to work on that ski anymore because no longer are they covered by anything. So if you think you have skis that are pretty old, my concern for you is that they may not release when you think they're going to release. So those twisting falls and things, you may not be as safe as you are. If you're never not sure, you can always go up to the rental shops, any of the rental shops, and just tell them who you are and ask if they can do a test for you. If they can't, for some reason, they all have the gear, but if they're really busy, I know that Chris down at North Shore Sports Swap will also give us a hand. So if you're not sure, take a look, or you can even just talk to me next time you see me. I have a list from last year, so we could take a look and just see if your binding is on there or not. Babette, tell me about washing ski clothing. Is this a good thing?
Yes.
Yes.
I just shared a link as well. I work in the after sales department at Arc'teryx, and we see a lot of Gore-Tex items that are not washed and dried and reproofed, and it is so important that you wash and keep Gore-Tex clean. I know that there's a lot more other materials. Our ski jackets are Gore-Tex. Same goes for down items. Down, it's an animal byproduct. It can get wet. If it gets wet, it needs to get dried significantly. I put a link in the chat. It's got a lot of information. It's from Arc'teryx. I might be biased there, but it has a lot of good information. And if you have any questions on how to care for your items, feel free to reach out. But yeah, keep your stuff clean, because the longer it stays clean, the longer it will last you.
There you go. Yeah, totally. Just wash your stuff, man. It's surprising how much more water resistant it becomes quickly. Other things, make sure your gear is like properly waxed and sharpened. It is shocking how big a difference that makes for your ability to just perform on the hill. When you look at the base of your ski or snowboard, if it looks like white and chalky, it desperately needs wax. It is just crying to you. That base is very porous, and when you fill it up with wax, then that protects it as well as makes it slide super easy. To check the sharpness of your skis or your snowboard, you can do a nail test where you just take like the back of your thumbnail and rub it against the edge. And if your nail comes off, chances are it's got a bit of an edge on it. If nothing comes off, they are really wickedly dull. But it's not a hard thing to do to wax or sharpen your boards, or you can just take it to a shop and they will do it for you. But available in the yurt up at Grouse is a full waxing station. Everything's there in a big box, says waxing, all the clamps and everything. You're welcome to go up there and wax your stuff anytime you want. If you were to look on our volunteer page and you go down to the training tab, you may not even know this stuff is hiding here, but I sometimes sneak in videos about the CSI overview we did with all the instructors the other day, the Zoom overview. I'll put this recording in there. And then if you keep going down, there's one on how to wax your skis. So if you've never waxed your skis or your board, you can get a little tutorial. It is super easy to do, and then head up and do that. I just ask that you try and keep the space super clean as you're working up there. There's a shop vac to vacuum up all the wax scrapings and everything. I just realized we didn't review part of our test, and we should do this part because I love this part. Can anybody name, let's see, we got lots of people here. Who could shout out one of the Alpine Responsibility Code? Just take off your mic and yell it.
Ski and control.
Ski and control. All right, I like that. Yep.
Look before merging.
Look before merging. Beautiful.
Stay within bounds.
Stay in the bounds. Love it.
Stop and assist when someone is in trouble.
Oh, that's a big one. We forget that one. Yeah, if you see an injury, definitely hang out until that person can get more help.
Equipment in proper working order.
Yes, that more specifically, there's something about brakes. So your skis have to have brakes or runaway devices. Could be a leash as well if they're a tether, a tele ski. Snowboards don't actually require anything, which shocks me. I just don't understand why you don't have to have a leash on a snowboard, especially when you're just trying to put it on, because I see lots of runaway snowboards, but that's okay. What else we got? I think we're at 5.
Impaired?
Sorry?
Don't ski impaired.
Don't ski impaired. Yeah. No drugs or alcohol while you're skiing. Or at least, yeah, not to a point where it's compromising your decision making.
You
Do
must
not-
be able to load
Know how to
and
use the
unload
lifts?
from a lift.
Know how to use the lifts? I think you were both saying the same thing at the same time. That's awesome.
Do not stop in places that make you invisible. Or
Yeah, don't stop in
obstruct the
stupid
trail.
places. So like not in the middle of the trail, not underneath a little roller. Yeah, perfect. And
Obey all signage.
obey all the signage. I think, did we get them all? Observe, posted signage, keep off trails, use the lifts, sufficient, yeah, ability to use the lifts.
Number
We missed one.
two.
First
You
one.
missed number 2.
We missed number 2.
Yeah.
Take
People
care.
ahead of you or downhill have the right of way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great thing just to always have in your pocket if you can get a copy of it, or always just good conversation with my students when I'm on the chairlifts too. All right, in our last 10 minutes, we are going to chit chat a little bit about risk and what risk means. When I think about the mountain environment, are there any things that you all can tell me are just risky things. They're just things that we just need to be aware of. Spots where danger can happen.
Snow guns.
Snow guns, definitely.
Collisions with other skiers or snowboarders.
So much, yes. Especially right now, if you go to grouse at about 7 o'clock at night.
Getting on the lifts.
Chairlift stuff.
Yeah, getting on and off chairlifts or carpets as well. Yep.
Towers.
The towers, just the fact that there's huge metal things in the middle of the ski run. Yeah, absolutely.
Trees.
The fall line on Paradise.
Trees, different fall lines. Yeah. So
Well, mainly the one on Paradise.
mainly the one on Paradise. Snowboarders hell. That's yeah. So the train or the shape of the train can be dangerous for sure.
The ski
Visibility.
on there as well.
Visibility. Sorry, what else did you say about
I said the skidoo, the track that runs right through the
it? Yeah,
Paradise
well,
slope.
and just yeah, like the roads through most runs. There's usually roads that go through almost all runs at different points. For sure, those can be dangerous.
I'm not saying this to be critical, but on Tuesday nights, it seemed that the ski club was running at the same time.
Mhm.
So just to be very aware of other skiers and speed and yeah, just surroundings. Be
Yeah.
very aware.
Racers race. They race, go fast all the time. Absolutely, super dangerous. That's it. Oh wow, good. Okay,
Well,
not
I
that many
think-
dangers.
I think it's obvious, but a lot of trips, slips, and falls, particularly going in and out of the rental facilities using the stairs.
It's a great one. Yeah.
Nobody also said anything about cold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cold
Pretty
weather.
cold year, and last year I know we had some really wet and cold. So just be very aware of your peoples and their needs.
Love it. Those are great.
Skiing while looking at your phone.
Conditions as well.
I heard skiing while looking at your phone. I heard something else. Sorry, conditions or something.
Loose skis and snowboards running down the mountain.
Running. Yeah. Yeah. I would also I will throw in there like ill-fitted equipment can be really dangerous. So, you know, you go to rentals and someone, you know, they put on a boot based on whatever information they have and they don't realize how big that boot is or maybe how small that boot is. Okay, so we know there's lots and lots of risks. That's okay. It is. You know what? Skiing, snowboarding, risky thing. All of it. We're in a slippery, changing environment, continually trying to learn skills that we often don't have. There's a lot out there. What does it mean for some of our students if they get injured? How do you think it affects their life? Like if we talk about maybe a kiddo who's on the spectrum and now, you know, has a broken arm or something. Do you think that's going to affect their life very significantly or not that big a deal? Like if I break my arm, honestly, other than it being painful in the moment, it really doesn't affect my life that much.
It might like give them PTSD about snow sport in general or the elements.
Sure.
Might impact communication abilities with others.
100%. Yep. Might give them a new weapon. If they are, you know, kiddos that like to throw a punch now and then.
We often talk about, you know, for folks who are on a sit ski and or have an amputation and the sensitivity around where the stump is, and so as not to, you know, I know we talk about, you know, teaching how to fall, but we want to minimize the amount of times that a student will fall because of how it impacts them for maybe their whole week before their next lesson. And, you know, not having an amputation myself, only understanding what others have told me of, you know, how awful that can be. So it can be something that they're dealing with already, and then we've just aggravated it a no end, and they don't come up for lessons anymore and have a difficulty with working and stuff. So
yeah, well, and I mentioned about fitting of, you know, maybe things from rentals, but if we misfit a sit ski so poorly that it creates pressure source for somebody, that's a like mega serious thing. Like Super, super serious. Cool. So we agree. Would we all agree? Injuring our students, not great. Probably worse for more of them than it would be for somebody without any diagnosis or adaptation in their world. So I always think of it that, you know, there was a question on the quiz about the DOC. Does anybody know what the DOC is?
Care?
The duty of care. Yeah. So I often hold a really, really high duty of care for my students. And I always try and think about, you know, what does their life look like if we have an injury? If for some reason something goes wrong and they go home sick, injured, scared, any of it. You know, I take that very, very serious. So I hope that you do as well. And that we're just always kind of looking out for them, even at a higher level than we would our own kid, which is kind of where that duty of care is. But I go higher. I always do. My next two questions are quick, and we can do them in the next couple minutes. But the first one is, you know, talking about some of those things, is there anything we can do to mitigate some of those risks? And then the second question is, you know, what can VAS do to help this all happen? Because I'm open to any suggestions that people have. If we make a little bit better, safer environment, if we help people make a little bit better, safer choice, I'm into it all. And I don't have any really great, amazing answers yet. But if anybody has anything right now that's coming top of brain, I would love to hear it.
I do.
Yeah, tell me.
Well, one thing that I'm always aware of is our passes that we wear around our neck.
Yep.
The Grouse Mountain passes are not, the lanyards are not a breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
So I always encourage my students and other people's students and instructors and anybody else I see on the hill, tuck it in the jacket. Because, you know, they could get hung up on it somewhere if they do a fall or on the chairlift or,
cool.
You know, just for safety.
Love it. That's super simple. I can create a poster or something with that and we can just have that around. Love it.
I can add on to that. You know, also an example would be keys of any form or any kind of hard objects. If they are, if a skier or boarder puts them in their, called it their outer pocket, and you do fall, you know, that can cause potential serious injury. You know, one quick way, yeah, to do that is to empty pockets. If you can't empty your pockets, you know, put it in an inside pocket and try to have something less sharp in the inside ones.
Cool. I love it. Cool. I'm always mindful of this one. I feel like we have this thing, and I don't know why it happens on Grouse more than anywhere else, but everybody wants to get to the cut. As fast as you can, you want to get to the cut. But often I find students on the cut that don't know how to stop yet, don't know how to side slip, don't know how to just get themselves up. And it makes me concerned. And it's really fun. I went to the CSIA convention this year. We were at Lake Louise. There was one run open. It was a green. For 3 days, I skied with level 4s on a green and never felt bored. They were able to work my skill development at a high level on easy terrain and find really interesting things for me to do. So I feel like I want to create a giant list of things that you could do in Paradise or on the carpet or in the easiest terrain on the mountain before we advance our students to the next level. Does that seem reasonable-ish? Like a pretty good idea? Useful, not useful? Because then I think as an instructor, if you get stuck like, oh my gosh, what else should I do? Then you can just look at that list and go, oh my God, I so haven't done that yet. So I will kind of, yep.
I just want to say, and Eric might agree, we had a student last year that was very reluctant to do anything on the other slope than the cut. So he was a lot of bargaining, a lot of doing, and in hindsight, he would have been, he would have learned a lot more on Paradise, and having something that you can refer back to, being like, hey, but if we do these first, fast say so.
Yep.
There's a bit of like a stick behind the door, as we say in Dutch.
I will happily, I can be the bad guy for you all day long. James says we have to do this before we can do that. I'm in.
That's fair. Yes, I wanted to be your friend last year, so we've accomplished that. So then I will do this from now on.
Awesome.
I think James did do that last year and it helped a lot.
Yeah. Just came and was the bad guy sometimes.
Yeah, you deterred him from going to the cut right away.
Nice.
Yeah, it helped on the first lesson for sure.
Awesome. Well, I would encourage you, any of you, if you ever have any thoughts, and I hope you keep thinking about this for a couple of days, at least after talking about it. But if you have some thoughts in the next couple of days, please just reach for the phone. Give me a quick call. I'd love to chat more about it, and just come up with any other good ideas. But I'm going to try and roll out a couple things that just really help us think about real skill progression and getting people ready before we move them on to the next step. I see this in sit skiers a lot too, where we just want to hang on to the sit ski and start wailing down the run sometimes, where there's still so much development that we could do with fixed outriggers or even the earliest ages, and just keep working. So with all that being said, I will go to the last slide and just type these words, which I just really appreciate all of you so much for taking a little bit of time on a Tuesday night and re-engaging your brains. We do, of course, have our passes ready now. So if anybody wants to go get their passes at Gross and get some turns in, please do that. I will just remind you that it does get very crazy up there, starting as of Saturday is the beginning of spring break. So I would encourage you not to go up because you'll get stuck in some crazy multi-hour line. And then we'll see you all, January's going to hit and we're doing lots of training. If any of you that have already done your CADS 1 want to come out for the weekend and just help out on a CADS 1, we would love to have you as well, just as an extra set of eyes and supporters. So if you're into that, give me a call. And with that, I think we bid you adieu. I'll just check and make sure there's no big questions on the board that I missed.
James, I've sent you one personal message that if you can reply anytime later after the meeting, it's fine.
Awesome. That's Will, right?
Yes.
Cool. I will take a look, Will. And yeah, or we can even just stay on just as people are dropping off.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Sure.
With that, everybody else, I'm going to stop the recording. I thank you so much. We'll see you on the hills and have happy holidays. I guess that's like coming really quick. So we'll see you all very soon.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy
holidays.
Everyone. See you around.
See you tomorrow, James.
Thanks,
Yeah,
James.
absolutely.
Bye.
Yeah, so the question that I had for you, you were talking about the valuable lessons that people can provide even in the simplest environment, right?
Yep.
Like you mentioned, your